Free Speech Radio, 919-860-9783. Bill LuMaye on Talk Radio 850. LuMaye.
Well, President Obama and he was a senator, Secretary of State now, very, very pleased with the deal they cut with the country of Iran, although the early feedback, even coming from some very liberal sources, not glowing by any means. So what's really going on here? How good, bad is this deal? Well, we're very privileged and honored to welcome to the program Congressman Richard Hudson. He, of course, is the representative from the 8th Congressional District here in the state of North Carolina. And Representative Hudson, thank you for giving us some time today. What are your thoughts on this deal?
Well, thanks, Bill. It's great to be with you. I just have to tell you, this, I believe, is a historic mistake by the president. We are talking about a deal we've cut with one of the most brutal regimes in history, the number one sponsor of terrorism in the world, a country that refuses to recognize Israel's right to exist. They're funding Hezbollah, Hamas. They're responsible for overthrowing regimes in 4 nations currently, including Yemen, where we are fighting them through proxies right now. 72 hours ago, the leader of Iran was chanting death to America while they burned American flags. And yet we've now welcomed them into the community of nations and basically gave our blessing to their illegal nuclear weapons program by getting an agreement that they'll stop building these weapons for 10 to 15 years.
Well, and how will we verify that they've stopped?
Oh, remember those nuclear weapons inspectors who did such a good job in Iraq and North Korea? Those are the guys we're going to be bringing in. So can they go in anytime, anywhere and inspect? No. I've read the deal. It's about 160 pages long. And it says only that we will call upon this organization to help verify that Iran is living up to the deal. But there's no agreement from Iran to allow inspections at any time. In fact, there's very little that Iran's required to do other than take their centrifuges that can enrich uranium up to the level of a weapons grade and put it in a closet somewhere. Well, how is the president going to convince Congress that they have the means to verify this? I mean, they don't do that. They're not going to be able to. But the problem is we passed this bill a few months ago called the Iran Nuclear Agreement Review Act, which means 2/3 of the Senate has got to vote to disapprove of this deal. And so now's the time the American people better wake up, and they need to let their senators and representatives know that this is a bad deal that the American people don't support, and we need a strong vote out of Congress against this deal. So the Senate could vote, 2/3 majority would have to vote. Can Congress do anything? I mean, the House, could they put up a resolution and to stop this? I mean, I guess I'm just not clear how this can be stopped, because the president says he's going to veto whatever it is that you send up there. But it would seem to me that 2/3 is 2/3. There's not a darn thing he can do about that. Well, we could override a veto if we have enough votes in the Senate. And, we'll need 40-some Democrats in the House to be able to override a veto. I think we can probably get there, but I don't know that you can get 67 senators. That's the real question. What is the buzz? I mean, I know it's early, but I mean, this has been in the works, and it's been, the longer it dragged on, it was clear that we were negotiating from a position of weakness, which is, of course, contrary to what the president said today. What is it, a bipartisan dislike for this bill? I mean, do you think that both Democrats and Republicans muster enough? What's it going to take? What are you hearing? Well, it's going to take the American people rising up and demanding that we turn this deal down. But there are Democrats, Senator Robert Menendez of New Jersey, who've spoken out against this deal. In fact, the outgoing chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Martin Dempsey, testified last week at the Senate Armed Services Committee, and he said, quote, "Under no circumstances should we relieve pressure on Iran relative to ballistic capabilities and arms trafficking." And that's exactly what this deal does. 5 years into the deal, we release all bans of arms, and in 8 years, we allow Iran to go back to building ballistic missiles. And the only reason they're building an intercontinental ballistic missile is not because they're afraid of threats from Australia. it's to hit America.
Yeah, no doubt. And what about the monies that are going to be returned to them? And they're going to be returned relatively quickly. Is there any guarantee that they're not going to be using that for, Hamas and all the other terrorist organizations they support?
That's what's outrageous about this deal. We don't require them to stop funding terrorist activities. We don't require them to recognize Israel. We didn't even ask that they release the 5 Americans they're holding in prison right now.
I mean, I'm just stunned by this. I'm just stunned by this. Was this just because they had to sign something? They wanted to sign it so desperately they were willing to give away everything? I mean, what's the rationale?
It seems like it. I think that President Obama is just so naive and just doesn't understand human nature and just was desperate to have a deal. I don't know if it's legacy setting or if he just believes that by the sheer magnetism of his personality that people will change their behavior. But it's naive at best.
Yeah, I think you're being kind with that. Well, Congressman Hudson, please, thank you for joining us. I'd like to check back and find out how this is going. And I know as this is digested by the public, hopefully they'll be texting, emailing, and calling because it seems as though if without that, this might stand. This deal would stand.
Well, it's very likely it could stand. And the only thing that's going to stop it is if the American people wake up and voice their opposition to this thing and force their representatives to speak out in a very loud, clear voice.
All right. Well, Representative Richard Hudson, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Of course, he's out there fighting a good fight, but